Thanks for joining me in my next video. In this video, I'm going to attempt to fix a problem with a 2013 Acura MDX. What's happening is the unlock is not unlocking any door other than the driver's side door. The lock seems to be okay, but unlocking only unlocks the driver's side regardless how many times I press the unlock button. Attempts to use the unlock button on the driver's side does not work either. Neither does the lock button. The release for the gas, that's not working either. And I'm assuming neither is the release for the trunk hood. So that's not working either. However, if you do put the key in the ignition, put it to the on position, you can then operate the unlock from the passenger side. The lock doesn't work though. And you can operate the fuel filler door from here, and the trunk release works as well. So as long as the key is in the ignition, it seems to be working. I haven't tried the windows. Well, windows are working. Up and down. Driver's side. Passenger side's working. The rear one is working as well. Okay, so those functions are all working. The exception is the unlocking and locking, the trunk release and the gas release when the key is not in the ignition. I suspect there's some kind of problem in the wiring harness. Seems to be pretty common with these vehicles. And here's the harness going into the door coming from the inside of the vehicle. Let me put the flash on. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this out here so I can get a look at the connector, see if there's any issues. Most people have complained about wires coming loose or fraying or whatever. Some people have actually purchased this wiring harness for the driver's side door and replaced it. However, it seems to be a very difficult piece to locate and takes a long time to get in stock. So I'm going to attempt to just open it up, take a look, see what's going on. I do have a wiring diagram, and I'm going to use that as a guide in case there's more than one wire that's out or not connected properly. Okay, stay tuned. I do want to mention that before I do start, I'm going to actually disconnect the battery. I don't like to touch anything with the electrical when the battery's connected. I don't want to do any more damage. Okay, let's do that. Okay, so I've just used the number 10 ratchet here to loosen this up, and I'm just going to remove the negative battery cable, put that aside so it doesn't touch the battery. With that disconnected, I'm going to proceed to open up that harness there. Okay, so just pry the boot back gently. You don't want to force anything, and I've already kind of done it, so I'm just showing you with the boot pried back. There's a lot of grease in there. I guess it's to keep the connections from getting bad. So as you pull the boot back, you can see there's a white wire right there that's disconnected. I'm hoping that's the only wire that's an issue, and I'll use the wiring diagram to figure out where that needs to go back to. And what I'm going to do is disconnect this from here. There's a clip on the top. I believe you press down and pull it out. Once I have that out, I'll be able to assess if there's any other additional wires that are damaged. But right now it's the white wire right here. And what I'll have to do is probably remove some of the stuff inside here to get access to the fuse panel there, and disconnect the connector so I can pull this out a little bit, give myself some room to work and see if I can fix that one wire. Hopefully it's just the one. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, so I've disconnected the clip from the door. Pretty much the connector, sorry. Pretty much as I explained, right there, there's the, what you're going to do is you're going to press down on that right there. Let me get you a better angle on that. Press down on towards the inside of the plug. And once you press that in, you're able to pull this out. It's hard for me to work in this minimal space, so I'm going to, as I mentioned, remove this panel here so I can get access to the fuse panel, disconnect the harness, and try to pull it out some more so I can start to work on that. Let's do that. Okay, step one is just simply put your fingers in here and pull towards the back of the vehicle, and that releases the door for the fuse panel. The connector is going to be up here, so we need to remove this. Okay, we need to remove this thing here, so let's do that. Find out what's holding that in place. Looks like there's some kind of gadget there that needs to be removed. Most likely just pop that out. I'm going to use my trim tool to pop that out, and may have to just pull back some of the trim on the door here. Yeah, so we get that out like this. So you just pull that out. This exposes this, and most likely it's just connected inside here. So once we get that out, we should be able to just pull this up and out. Okay, let's do that. Just want to mention before you disconnect the battery, pull your seat all the way back. I didn't do that, but worst case I'll put the battery back on and move the seat back. I think I have enough room for now. So with this particular screw here, it basically is just that. It's just a cover, and just unscrew it, and this is what it is basically. So put that aside. Okay, so I just I just grabbed this from underneath here and popped this up a little bit so I can access this area here, so I can remove this. And you just need to get it around the hood release. So let me maneuver that and get it off. Okay, with that cover off, you can now access the connectors. It's this one here and the one next to it. So those are the two connectors you need to disconnect. Same concept. Press on the tab right there, pull out, take those two out, and hard to see here, but see the blue tape around the black harness there. That's the harness that goes into the door, and that's how I followed it back to where it's connected here on the fuse box. So we're going to disconnect those two, and that should give me a little bit more room to play with. Once that's disconnected, I should be able to pull back. You can see that in there. Pull back this cover right here. Same as kind of cover that's on this side here. Pull that back, and I should be able to pull it out a little bit so I can at least work on this this connector here. Let's do that. Okay, so I've disconnected the two connectors, as you can see here. And the wire, the harness itself is secured right about, it's hard to see from here, but up there. Okay, so I managed to get the clip off. This is the clip I was referring to. I pretty much just used my trim tool and kind of just put it underneath here and kind of just popped it off. So I should be able to put that back in. Didn't look like I broke it. So with the wiring harness now disconnected, as you can see, it's moving here. I'm going to remove that cover here, right here. I'm going to remove this and give myself some, and be able to pull this out. This should just go, nothing else is connecting this inside the car, so you should be good with that one clip removed. Once I have this out, I'll be able to pull it out further and do a further investigation on the connector to see if there's any wires other than the white one I initially identified as being broken. I did end up connecting the battery back to move the seat. I didn't have enough room, so save yourself some time, move the seat all the way back before you start. Battery has since been disconnected again. So let's continue. Okay, so I pretty much just peeled back the rubber. You can see that, just peeled that back and was able to pull the harness out. Then I peeled back the boot here, exposing the connector. It's really greasy. Okay, just examining it to see what else looks bad here. Tons of grease. So it looks like just the one wire has disconnected. Okay, so here's the connector, and the way it's labeled is top left is 1, and you go to the right 2, 3, 4, go to the next row and keep counting. Total of 5 rows, 4 pins per row for a total of 20 connections. The gray wire, apologies, I know I've been saying white, but it is white with gray stripes. So the gray wire comes out of pin number 12, which would be the 3rd row, 4th pin. So it would be to the right of the green. So I'll hold this steady and I'll put an arrow with the video to show you where that gray wire goes connected. There's no other indications of any other broken wires, and that gray wire does correspond to the keyless entry and security and door locks, so that's most likely my problem. So once I fix that, and the way I plan to fix it is I plan to remove the pin from this side. I'm not sure if you can, it's kind of hard to get in close, but I'm going to get a screwdriver in there to kind of pry against the connector and push it out. Once it comes out, I'm going to reconnect it to the gray, and push it back in, and hopefully that does the trick. Okay, so I ended up pulling the harness out of the vehicle, moved to the backyard where there's some natural sunlight. I just couldn't get that pin out. Pulling it out of the vehicle was not too bad. Basically, there's this cap here that's on the inside of the door there on the right hand side of the body. Just pry that off, and then basically you can pull that out gently. I managed to get the pin out eventually. There's been a little bit of collateral damage. Oops. As you can see, this piece here, which belongs to here, has been damaged. I'm not too concerned about this end here, because what I'll end up doing is just soldering on the wire to there anyways. So those, I'm not sure if I can get a close-up. So what you're trying to pry on, there's two, as you can see, that little thing that does a little bit of a jog out. That's a little spring, well, not really spring, but when you're pressing up against that, there's one on either side. That allows you to pull pull it out. Unfortunately, I didn't know what I was dealing with here, and my attempts to try to get it out didn't work successfully. So what I'm going to do is just see if I can solder that back on here, and then solder my wire, stick that back in, hope for the best. Let's see what happens. Okay guys, I pretty much couldn't solder that pin back onto the wire and get it back into the harness, just because I guess I damaged it as I was trying to remove it from the harness. I didn't have the proper depinning tools. If you manage to get it out and you can solder it back on the wire and stick it back into the harness, you're all good to go. I would order a new harness, but it's about a 6-month wait, so I really don't want to wait. So what I've done is I've pretty much hooked up a connector wire to the wire that was out. And what I'm going to do is I disconnected the door panel, and through the speaker, remove the speaker, and pretty much remove this connector, which was on this side of the door right there. See that opening? And the way you do that is basically just push down on these pins here, and that'll allow you to disengage it from the door. Okay, with that out, I'm able to identify the wire that I need to tap into. It's this wire right here, where my thumb is. Apologize for the dirty nails, but this car's all greased up because Northern Ontario here, well, Southern Ontario, we have a lot of snow, so I greased it all up, or had it sprayed. Okay, so the wire that I need to tap into is this one here. So what I'm going to do is just use this device right here. Tap into that wire, grease it all up nicely in case any water gets in there, and then hook up this wire to that so it'll be connected together. I know it's a little bit thicker, but better thicker than thinner. And connect it onto this end, which I'll then, before I do that actually, I'm going to feed it through the this side of the connector where there's no wires going in. I'm just going to feed my wire through there, and it's going to come out through the cap, which is this guy that goes on top of that. And once it comes out to that, I'm going to pretty much connect it to here after I put this end onto that white wire. It's a hack. It's not the price, it's the fact that I need to wait 6 months. Just so you, as a reference point, it's about $140 for the part Canadian. I would definitely switch it out because I'm sure other things are going to go wrong with this harness, but for now I need to get the car going and things working. So that's what I'm going to do. I'll show you what the end product looks like. There's videos online if you want to know how to remove the panel. So I'm not getting into that. But anyways, here we go. So I tried looking for a thinner gauge wire, but I couldn't find one. So what I ended up doing is just drilling that hole out just slightly bigger, just so I can get this wire through. Now that it's through, I'll be able to connect it to this cable here, the gray cable, using that connector I showed you earlier. And right here, like I said, I'm just going to grease this all up once it's all said and done. Once it comes out of here, it's just going to come out of that blue thing I mentioned earlier. So I'll drill the corresponding hole to make it bigger on this side as well. This is absolutely used for nothing, so I'm not concerned the fact that I'm drilling through this, but there is holes. It's just that, as you can see, it's just not big enough to fit that wire. So I'm just going to drill it out just slightly. Once I get it through, I'll be able to put the connector on the other end, the female connector, and then connect it into the male connector here. Okay, let's do that. So here's what it looks like with the connector on. Like I said, I'm just going to grease that up, prevent any water from getting inside. Okay, let's continue. Okay, so this is what it looks like once I put this plastic cover back on, this cover here. That goes on after you put the connector from inside the door back out. And here's that blue connector that I was talking to you about. That's nothing there, it's just a cover. So I just put that back in. Here's the wire coming out. I'm going to attach the female connector to this so I can plug it into my harness, which is right there, which I've already put back into the vehicle. It's just hanging here. Okay, so this is what it looks like after I put on the female connector on the white wire coming out from inside the door. I greased it all up. This is special grease for water penetration, prevents water penetration. Same type of grease that's on the unit itself. Anyway, so I'm gonna connect this to here where my finger's pointing. I'm gonna connect these, put the battery terminal back on, do a test, see if everything's working. If it is, I'm gonna close everything up and call it a day, and hopefully nothing else goes wrong with this harness. Okay, stay tuned. We'll see what happens. All right, so I reconnected the battery cable. I'm holding the door panel as I connected the connector, the main connector that I had disconnected down here. And lo and behold, unlock and lock is now working. Lock, unlock. I don't know if you can see it down there. It's actually operating all the doors now. Okay, so let's see if the trunk release works. Oh, sorry, that's the gas release. And it did pop it. Okay, so we'll test the the trunk release. And as you can hear that button, and it's releasing the trunk. And I'm closing it. So that little hack fixed everything. I didn't have any problems with my windows or what have you, so the only problem with the harness was that one wire. I'm not going to bore you with putting this thing back together, but that's about it. Thanks for watching the video. Hopefully it helps you. If your luck is better than mine, you'll be able to just maybe get the pins out, resolder those connections that are broken, and put it back in. If not, the hack I did it seems to work, and I'm quite happy with that. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe and give me a thumbs up. Thank you.